Hey everybody, Chris the old ass retro gamer here. As I've mentioned on this channel many times, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. And with the release of Mortal Kombat 11 right around the corner, you have no idea how excited I am for this game. Well, none. I thought it would be a good idea to start talking about some Mortal Kombat-centric topics. So I'm sure, like a bunch of other YouTubers, I have a list of topics I would love to turn into videos that I've been using for years. I keep adding to it, subtracting from it, depending on what's going on, what I feel like talking about, you know, all that kind of stuff. One of the topics I've had on that list for at least the last 2.5 years are my favorite and least favorite Mortal Kombat clones. So, like I said, Mortal Kombat 11's coming out in a couple of weeks. Perfect time to bring that topic out of mothballs. So I'm going to split this topic up into two separate videos. One where I talk about my least favorite Kombat clones, and another where I talk about my favorite Mortal Kombat clones. So let's get the bad news out of the way first, and start off with my 5 least favorite Mortal Kombat clones.
Get over here!
Rise of the Robots. This came out in the mid-90s. It was super hyped up because it was going to be using Silicon graphic workstations to create these computer-generated characters. It was going to revolutionize the way fighting games were played in the 90s, the way they looked, the way they handled, all that kind of stuff. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing something in a video game magazine, on TV, comic books, whatever, without seeing Rise of the Robots in there somewhere. It came out for the Super Nintendo, I think PC. I can't remember if there was a Genesis version or not. I think there might have been. I'm holding the 3DO version here. Naturally, when something's hyped up that much, yeah, disappointment's in the air. And yeah, this game is pretty awful. I did rent the Super Nintendo version back when it was first released because I gotta see what the hype's all about. It was disappointing in the extreme, like beyond disappointing, like almost infuriating, because I was super excited about it. It's a Mortal Kombat style game. Instead of having live action digitized actors in it, it was gonna have these computer generated characters in there instead. That's kind of cool. Unresponsive is probably the nicest way I can describe the controls in this game. They are laggy as hell. Everything is super slow, at least in the Super Nintendo version. The graphics were murky, and it just was not fun to play. Why do I own this if the game is so terrible? Well, when you want to collect 3DO games, and you find one in the wild, you don't pass it up. They are hard to come by, especially completed box. Even though the graphics are nicer and the music is CD quality, the game is still a turd. And they made a sequel. What?
Get over here!
Next up is a game that I don't currently have in my collection because I am not collecting for that console yet, but I did own it back in the day when it was first released, and that is Ultra Vortech for the Atari Jaguar. You want to talk about a crappy game? I mean, yes, it had the digitized actors just like Mortal Kombat, and yeah, they looked pretty decent on the Jaguar, but everything else about it was just god-awful. The problem with the Jaguar was that controller is not designed for fighting games. The D-pad sucked, the buttons sucked. Sometimes in the games you had to use that little numerical pad like on an old school telephone that you used to have back in the 80s. Like most of these fighting games that I'm going to talk about today. The controls are just horrendous. Nothing but lag, unresponsive controls, special moves you can absolutely never pull off consistently, and just not fun to play. Yes, it had voice acting in it. Yes, it had fatalities. I want to see someone actually be able to pull them off each and every time they want to. I bought this game back when it was first released because Mortal Kombat clone. It was also one of those games that was the driving factor behind me actually wanting to sell my Atari Jaguar, because I kept saying to myself, well, if this is as good as this console can get, why do I still own it? Horrible, horrible game.
Get over here!
Next up is another 3DO game, Shadow War of Succession. This is, yes, another 3DO game, but unlike Rise of the Robots, this one is exclusive to the 3DO as far as I know. Never played this back in the day. I picked this up when I got back into collecting in 2013, you know, when I started collecting for the 3DO. I was like, oh look, there's that Mortal Kombat clone game I remember reading about back in the day. Never bought it, never played it, never saw anything about it, never even read a review. So I blind bought it and regretted it the moment it showed up. I talked about this in a pickup video I did with Radical Reggie, and we talked about it at great length because he was really genuinely curious about this game because he had never heard of it. And I told him it looked like a bunch of college kids got a hold of their parents' VHS camera and decided, you know what, if Mortal Kombat can do it, why can't we? Let's film people pretending to do Kung Fu and just kind of throw together a video game that's kind of in the vein of MK. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It's exactly what it controls like. It is a piece of dung. The actors in the game don't look like they know what they're doing. People seem to not even be able to lift a leg up properly to do a kick. Everything is super bland about this game. I mean, there's one thing I can say about a lot of these games I'm going to be talking about today. At least they showed a lot of color. This one is bland and drab across the board. Everyone's wearing either black or tan or gray or like olive green, and it's just ugly as all hell. The character selection is absolutely horrendous. Not one single character is a standout at all. If you were to ask somebody, name a character from Mortal Kombat, I mean, I'm guaranteeing you will get a Scorpion or a Sub-Zero or a Liu Kang or a Raiden. Here, name a character from Shadow. What's that then? It controls like crap, it looks like garbage, and it just has this cheap, thrown together feel. That is one thing that I cannot say about any of these other games. It looks like these people actually tried, they just did not pull it off. This is just a bottom-of-the-barrel money grab if there ever was one.
Get over here!
Next up is another game that I don't own in my collection currently. It is another Atari Jaguar game, and it is another one that I bought back in the day when it was first released, and that is Kasumi Ninja. Another digitized actor, one-on-one fighting game that just fails in every single respect. This one I had higher hopes for than Ultra Vortech. Ultra Vortech, just to me at least, just kind of came out of nowhere. As far as I can remember, it was just thrown out into the marketplace with very little fanfare. But Kasumi Ninja was the one that I kept reading about, and I was really, really excited for. And I was like, well, if it at least controls well, I'll be happy. No, this one was actually worse in every respect. The characters are stupid. There's a Scotsman who shoots fire out of his dick. Yeah, that's right. He lifts up his kilt, and a fireball shoots out from underneath. That's some strong scotch. You might have a urinary tract infection. The announcer is really annoying, and it sounds like a Caucasian guy trying his best to do an Asian accent, and it fails. It sounds horrible. Like I've said with every game here tonight, controls are terrible. Laggy, cannot get special moves to pull off consistently at all. Yes, the graphics look nice. Yes, the music is okay, but you know, when I play a game, I want it to be fun to play, and Kasumi Ninja has none of that. It is not fun. I remember I bought it, brought it home, I played it for maybe a grand total of 45 minutes, took it out of my Jaguar, put it back in its box, threw it on my shelf, and then I just left it there. And that, I think, was one of the last games I bought for my Jaguar before I said, you know what? Really not feeling the Jaguar anymore. I think I need to get rid of it, and I did, and I never played the Jaguar again. And there were some games I loved for that console, like Alien vs. Predator and Tempest 2000, but you know what? What's the point of keeping it if you have two good games for a console? I think I made the right choice, even though I'm considering collecting for it again. What does that say about me? I don't know. But yeah, Kasumi Ninja, nope. All the nope. Nope, 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 nope cubed.
Get over here!
And the last game I want to talk about today is the one that is the most disappointing to me of all, and that is why it cut so deep. Why it is my #1 worst Mortal Kombat clone ever. I had such high hopes for it. I spent so much money just to be able to play this game. I think you already know what I'm talking about because I brought this up many times on the channel already. Way of the Warrior. I'll give you the abridged version for those of you who are new to the channel and have not seen some of my older videos where I talked about this, where I really wanted to play Way of the Warrior because Mortal Kombat clone. Only problem was 3DO cost $700 back then. I did not have that kind of money back in the day, so I ended up selling my Genesis, my Sega CD, and all the games I had for that console to a game store just in exchange for a 3DO, and I still had to go out and pay out of pocket for this game. That much of a financial investment in a console for one game, this game had better kick some serious ass. And you know what? No, it did not. I brought the game home, I played it for maybe an hour. I liked it when I first started playing it, but the longer I did, the more my heart sank. I started off with like, yeah, this is okay, this is kind of cool. And then an hour later, I was just like, I made a mistake. Later on, the 3DO became worth having because the game started to get a lot better, but as my first game that I ever purchased for my 3DO was this turd, yeah, I was kind of pissed at myself for selling off my entire Sega collection. So what's wrong with it, you say? Well, yes, it looks absolutely fantastic. I will give it that. The graphics are clean and crisp. The zooming in and zooming out of the characters when they move apart and move together works really well. The actors that are playing the characters sort of look like they know what they're doing. And the best part of the game is all the music that plays throughout the entire game are White Zombie songs. Fan-freaking-tastic. But, as with every other game I've talked about tonight, the controls are absolutely horrendous. They do not work. The 3DO controller works for certain types of games. Fighting games are not really one of them. Number one, it only had, at the beginning, 3 buttons to choose from, and the D-pad was terrible. Later on, new versions and updates of the controllers got a lot better and handled better, but the controller that the 3DO originally came with, no, not for fighting games like at all. The D-pad would not register half of the commands I was putting into it. I remember just getting super frustrated because, hey, that fireball should just be easy to pull off, like on my Super Nintendo's copy of Street Fighter 2. Go. No. Out of 20 attempts, maybe 1 would register. And of course, the AI would just jump right over the fireball. The characters, not that great. There's some that are kind of funny. There's a Raiden ripoff in there that is terrible. There's a hillbilly that uses a big stick. There's a bodyguard character. There's a guy that's supposed to be a Green Beret ripoff of Guile. And some of the things that the characters say and do and the noises they make are a little culturally insensitive, I think, nowadays. There are fatalities in this game, which was another reason why I wanted it. They all stink. All the levels that you fight in look like ripoffs of Mortal Kombat's levels, especially Mortal Kombat 2. There's a level that looks just like the pit. There's one that looks just like the Deadpool, you know, the level with the acid except it's lava. And there's like a stage fatality that is almost the exact same thing, but instead of just a skeleton popping up in the background like in Mortal Kombat 2, your character comes out of the lava half melted, lunging at the screen, you like smack up against it and slide down. Just not good at all. So for the fact that I had to spend $700 just to be able to play this game and become so freaking disappointed in myself for making that choice, this is my #1 worst Mortal Kombat clone of all time. But I still own it for nostalgic purposes. So there you have it, my 5 worst Mortal Kombat clones, at least in my opinion. I mean, like I said, this is not a definitive list. This is just my choices. But I want to hear what your choices are. What are the 5 Mortal Kombat clones that you just can't stand, that you think are absolutely terrible? There's plenty of them out there, but not as many as you think. So what are your choices? Let me know. Make a response video if you feel like it. If not, just leave your choices in the comment section below, because I am very interested in reading about them. As you know, I respond to pretty much every single comment made on my videos. So stay tuned. Next week, I will have out my top 5 Mortal Kombat clones video. Hope to see you there. And until next time, I'm Chris, the old ass retro gamer, signing off.